the experience of a child's life has to be taken into account. So if a child is presenting with that they have more than six symptoms over a 6 month period from hyperactivity, impulsivity, to inattention, then we must think about why that is. And there's a couple of theories that are very useful for thinking about that. The first one I want to explore with you is the polyvagal theory. The polyvagal theory talks about the interaction between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is the one that calms everything down, and the sympathetic nervous system is everything that ramps everything up. So when you have to be active and engage with the environment, interact with the environment in a physical way, you want your sympathetic nervous system to be on board and doing most of the work. If you're trying to learn and if you're trying to acquire knowledge, then you need your parasympathetic nervous system to be doing most of the work. Think back to our conversation with Andrew Curran. For those with video, this is his book, the little book of big stuff about the brain. Sorry, he's not sponsoring us, but he's a good author and a reputable clinician. And within his book, he talks about dopamine levels having to be at the targeted level. And what that means is you can't have too much dopamine. It's overwhelming for the system. You end up trying to pay attention to everything in the environment and you just look distractible. And too low, then you almost comatose. You're not really paying attention to anything. You might even just drop out. And we might call that disassociation in extreme cases for those who've experienced high levels of trauma. And what this means is we need to think about how we relate to these young people, because Andrew Curran talked about you need to feel emotionally safe in an environment in order to get those dopamine levels to the right point, and so that you're ready to engage with learning. Those who experience ADHD, there may be a chemical reason why they are experiencing more dopamine, too much dopamine, meaning that their sympathetic nervous system is really gearing up. But if they've experienced trauma in their life, they're more likely to present that way because of the way the brain works. The amygdala becomes more online the more trauma you experience, because it is the brain's threat detector. So it needs to spend more time being vigilant. If you think about attachment theory as well, attachment theory, from Bowlby and Ainsworth, this is another useful one. We think about secure and insecure attachments, but the spectrum is, one, it's dynamic, it's always moving, and two, it is broader than just three categories of avoidant, ambivalent, or secure. It is very much a whole wheel of different categories, and how we present on that wheel is determined by our relationships and how we understand those relationships. So we know that the biggest influences on our attachment style are our parents. But we also know that our teachers have a big role to play in that. And that is both primary and secondary school teachers, by the way. We often think about attachment being this early childhood experiential phenomena. But it does go into secondary school, because you have growth spurts and you have neural pruning at that stage as well. So there's still very much a placid brain and a very fragile brain in many ways. And we have to respect that as educators.